Hello, today we are going to start talking about the STAR reference materials or the STAR chart. Okay, you are going to get these on the day of the STAR test. So these are things you don't need to remember, but you need to know how to use the STAR chart. So in 6th grade, they are going to ask you to convert measurements. So in this side, we have length, volume and capacity, and weight and mass. So a few things I just want to point out. First of all, on this side, we have what is called customary. So these are things that you should be familiar with. Miles, inches, gallons, pounds, ounces. These are the measurements that we use here in the US, and this is how we typically measure things. Metric is pretty much what everybody else uses, okay? So kilometers, millimeters, centimeters, we're used to centimeters, but we're not really used to kilometers or kilograms or anything like that. So this side might not seem as familiar, but you've at least heard of those things, okay? The next thing I want to point out is on this STAR chart, the bottom inches is going to be the smallest all the way up to the top row. Miles is the biggest. So we go from small to big. So same with volume and capacity. Ounces is the smallest, gallons is the biggest, ounces is the smallest, tons is the biggest. So that also goes for the metric. Millimeters is the smallest, kilometers would be the biggest. Here we just have one. They only use milliliters and liters. And then milligrams smallest, kilograms biggest. Okay, moving on. I also want you to notice there is a 1 on every side, no matter whether it's metric or customary. We are always putting everything into a single unit. So when we are using the STAR chart, one of our numbers is always going to be a 1. In the middle, we have equal signs. So we know that all of these pieces are equivalent to 1 of something, okay? So what that tells me is when we are pulling something from the STAR chart, we are going to need blank equals blank. So we need one piece of information from this side and one piece from this side. I can't take inches and yards both from the same side. We need one piece from either side, depending on what the problem is going to be asking us. Okay? So let's just use an example. Let's think, okay, if my question is asking me for how many inches are in a foot, okay, so inches is right here, foot is here, so they are both on each side of that equal sign, and they're on the same row, so I could write 1 foot, and that FT is the abbreviation, so you could also write FT like that, equals 12 inches, or you could put 12 IN for the abbreviation there, okay? But let's say that I want to know how many ounces are in a quart. So ounces is here, or fluid ounces, and then I need to go to quart. And if I look, the other side of that equal sign has a cup, so we can't use that. Quart is all the way up here, but again, I can't use that one either because it's not on the other side of the equal sign. So the quart I would need to be looking at is this one, because I need one from each side, but I could not write 1 quart equals 8 fluid ounces because they're not on the same row. So in this situation, again, they're not on the same row. Okay, one's up here, one's down here. In this situation, we would take all of these numbers on this side and we would have to multiply them, all those numbers. So we would do 2 times 8. 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 8 equals 32, and it's 32 fluid ounces because that was the one we were trying to look for. So when we wrote our information down here, we would write 1 quart, and I'm going to use the abbreviation QT, is not 8 fluid ounces, it is 32 fluid ounces because they were not on the same row. So those are just some things that we need to remember about the star chart.